Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Uldawa Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And as always, we do thank the Uldawa Club. We were there today, actually. Got to spend some time in the simulator lounge, and actually, the next time we're live, we'll be coming to you from that simulator lounge. So we're super excited about that. We do appreciate them so much. Welcome to everyone. Kevin has already started us out with probably the best comment of the whole night. He said, number one in baseball, number one in basketball, number six in football. Go Big Orange. Absolutely. What a time to be a Tennessee fan. What a time. He said, Kevin said, hey, y'all, happy Thursday. Absolutely. I hope you're having a great day, Kevin. Kevin asked, have you heard what Sankey said about future playoffs in the interview on Yahoo Sports today? Conference champions as he's seeing Big Ten guaranteed, with the next two at-large bids decided by playing games. That would be Georgia and Texas in, with Tennessee hosting Bama and Ole Miss hosting South Carolina for the next two bids from the SEC. So actually, I didn't see that. That's pretty fascinating. Let's see here. Rhonda, welcome, Rhonda. Good to have you. She says, great day to be a Tennessee Vol fan. All sports school, absolutely. Lady Vols currently ranked 19th in the country as well in basketball. So everything school. I mean, literally in everything school. Kevin said, thank you, Uldawa Club, as always. Yes, absolutely. Like you said, it's a good time to be at the Vol Bros. Hey, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, Like good to have you. Greg said, checker the shoe. It is interesting now that two different officials I think it's their athletic director and the president of the university have now come out asking Ohio State fans to not sell their tickets to Tennessee fans. That is fascinating when you stop and think about it. But, so we got a few things we're going to talk about tonight. Number one, Rustin, what do you think about the men's basketball team's win over Miami?
I thought they played extremely well defensively. I thought they were efficient offensively and did what they needed to do to have success. Anytime this team scores 70 plus, they're probably going to win. They were very shorthanded. They only played 7 guys. Really impressed with the minutes Cade Phillips is giving them. He has been crazy productive.
He had 9 straight points in the first half at one point.
Yeah, he ended up with 9 points in 15 minutes. So he's coming in and giving them a definite spark. Really excited to see what this team looks like Saturday. Should have Darlin Stone Dubar back. That's going to be a rock fight. Saturday's going to be a rough game. Illinois is good. They are hyper physical. They are huge. They have a lineup where they use it a lot, where they have 6'10", 6'11", and 7'1" on the court at the same time. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee counters that if they decide to turn into a track meet and play small, or if they go with maybe Milicic, Phillips, and Okpara all in there at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see how Tennessee responds. Need Darlin Stone Dubar this Saturday. It's going to be hyper physical. Need his physicality. Hopefully he'll be out of concussion protocol and ready to go. Really need to get Cam Carr back by January. These guys are playing a lot of minutes and they need somebody to spell them so they have legs in February. But love this team. Love the effort. Love their defensive communication. They're so good defensively. And it's fun to watch.
You mentioned playing Illinois this Saturday. I loved what Zakai said in his post-game presser after the game against Miami, because the same thing is going to be true against Illinois. He was asked about being ranked number one, and he said, we love it. He said, you're going to get everybody's best game when you step on the court. And so he's like, you got to embrace it and you got to be ready for it. And I love that attitude, because you are the hunted at that point when you're number one in the country. And They got a big one this Saturday. Rhonda said she loved how they played, especially because of where they were playing. They didn't in Madison Square Garden. She said it didn't go well last time we played there. Tony mentioned next year's football schedule. About that just a little bit. He said, love next year's football schedule. If we can beat Georgia at home, we might win 10 again. I'll believe when we win in Gainesville and Tuscaloosa when I see it. That's a fair assessment. Let's see here. Eric, what's up, buddy? He said, what's up, all bros? Happy with Tennessee's football schedule for 2025. I like having Georgia early in the season. And Tennessee men's basketball looked good, beating Miami at Madison Square Garden. Absolutely. Kevin said Lanier is a beast, too, 100%. He's a situation where they actually want him to shoot more. And Barnes talked about that after the game, too. He said he's got to do more to get himself open. And I agree with Rick on that. Ricky, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said hit that like button. I think that's excellent advice. Excellent advice for everybody to follow. Subscribe as well. That'd be a great idea, too. Herb, perfect timing, buddy. You read my mind. Welcome, Herb. Good to have you. So what do y'all think of the baseball schedule? So tonight, actually less than 3 hours ago, the baseball schedule was released, and that's literally what we're going to do next. I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see it on the screen as well. Kevin said, I feel like the basketball's got Miami's best game. I 100% agree. He said they really tried, but the guys swallowed up that effort. Jonathan said, hope the men's basketball team gets as healthy as they can soon. 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, that like Rustin said, they need Darlington Dubar back. Let's see. Carl, welcome, buddy. He said baseball. Hey, that's Carl's favorite right there. So we're about to get to it, Carl. That's right, buddy. BG, welcome. He said tons of tickets available online for sale. OSU fans checked out.
It's been weird. They have kind of been letting their tickets go or not keeping them themselves. Like they're reselling them all over the place,
which is a great thing for us. So let me zoom in a little bit so everybody can see the schedule more easily on the screen, because like I said, this was just released. No exaggeration. I mean, maybe 3 hours ago, if that. And so this is brand new information to everybody. Tennessee actually starts this year's baseball schedule with 8 straight home games. They have a weekend series with Hofstra to kick off the start of the season. And they got a Tuesday night game with UNC Asheville. They should win that, but UNC Asheville is a good team. And so that'll be a fun early. I mean, Hofstra's not terrible. So that'll be a fun early season thing. Matchup there. Then they got a weekend series with Samford, Tuesday midweek game with North Alabama, and then it kicks into overdrive. And really, from this point against Oklahoma State throughout the rest of the year, it is going to be a brutally difficult schedule. I was floored when I saw who their SEC opponents are. And I mean, it's rough. So what they have from that point forward in Houston, they're going to the College Classic in Houston. They got Oklahoma State, Rice, and Arizona. Those are 3 good teams. And so that's going to be a tough test out in Houston. That'll be a weekend, the last Friday of February and the first weekend of March. They come back home. They host Radford. They host Xavier. And you'll notice that's back-to-back nights, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then that weekend series will be against St. Bonaventure. I believe they hosted St. Bonaventure last year too. We get a breather with West Georgia. And then it kicks off SEC play. And talk about starting with a bang. First SEC series, Florida at home. Then they host ETSU midweek game. Next weekend, they go to Alabama. Then they host Queens University or Queens College. Next weekend, go to South Carolina. Go ahead, Rustin.
I'm just running the predictions in my head as you go.
So first 3, And then the infamous Tennessee Tech midweek game that you never know what's going to happen in that one. So first 3 weekend SEC series, they got Florida at home, then they go to Alabama and to South Carolina. Well, it doesn't get any easier after that because then the next weekend series they host is Texas A&M at home. Then they have a week off. Essentially, there's no midweek game that week. And then they go to Ole Miss. Then they host Bellarmine. And then they host Kentucky the following weekend. That'll be Easter weekend. Then we got Lipscomb in a midweek game. Then they go to LSU. I mean, their SEC schedule is brutal. Absolutely brutal. Host Northern Kentucky, and then host Auburn, and then host Indiana State, which that's going to be a fantastic game. If everybody remembers, Indiana State was a regional host. So like either last year or the year before. So that's going to be a huge game. And then they end the season. Oh, nope, just kidding. They have one other series after this. They host Vanderbilt, host Belmont, and then end the season by going to Arkansas. I mean, that is a brutal SEC schedule. So just to recap, I'm just going to go through the SEC series, weekend series one more time. We host Florida. That's the first one. Then we go to Alabama. Then we go to South Carolina. Then we host A&M. Then we go to Ole Miss. Then we host Kentucky. Then we go to LSU. Then we host Auburn. Then we host Vanderbilt, and then we end the season by going to Arkansas. That is not an easy schedule.
I got 41 and 14.
So do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think they win every SEC series and just maybe drop one game?
No. I got them losing the series at Arkansas, and I've got them losing the series at LSU.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And winning all the rest. 42 and 13.
That is going to be a very, very difficult schedule. Having said that, let's see what some folks are saying in the comments about it. Let's see here. Robert, welcome, buddy. He said Ohio State media is saying that the Vols have no chance. We shall see. Yeah, they're wrong. They definitely got a chance. Bobby, welcome. He said Cade Phillips was incredible. Very impressed with his tenacity. He's going to be exciting to watch. Totally agree. Carl said always a lot of early home games gives a chance for up north teams to get out of the snow. Yeah, that makes sense. Rebel Jew said, my wife, kids, and me will be moving back down south to East Tennessee. Hey, how about that? He said, anybody know of rentals in that area at that time? Literally anywhere East Tennessee. So if anybody, that's a big range, but if anybody knows,
I'll say that's a 3-hour scope of range there.
So certainly somebody can find something in there for you for sure. So if anybody knows, please let Rebel Jew know. Herb said, why are we going back to back to Tuscaloosa? Any idea? That's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't know.
They mentioned this last year. There was something in the way the contracts were written where they made a mistake and they were going to have to even it up this year. Apparently sometime in the past, Tennessee got 2 series in a row they shouldn't have, and they were going to even it back up this year.
James asked a question about football. I'm going to come back to that one in a minute, James. We'll do that when we talk about the football schedule that was released yesterday. Eric asked a great question. He said, what teams are going to be toughest on the conference schedule for Tennessee?
I would go Kentucky in Knoxville and at Arkansas. I think those are going to be the 2 toughest. I don't think they'll win the series at LSU, but it's not because I think LSU is the better team. I just don't like where it falls in the schedule. Um, if it was earlier in the schedule or later in the schedule, I would probably pick Tennessee to win it all. But sometimes when you're in the middle of the conference season, it starts wearing on you, and you have some letdowns, and it's a nice eye opener for the rest of the conference season. So if that one was anywhere else in the schedule, I'd probably pick Tennessee to win that series, but I just don't like where it sits right now.
So thankfully, Tennessee gets Florida and Texas A&M at home. Thankfully, because I mean, let's not forget Texas A&M. That's going to be a rematch of last year's national championship series. That's going to be a good series, and I'm very, very thankful that they get that one at home because of the fact that they get Florida and A&M both at home. Because of that, I'm going to say the last series of the year at Arkansas will be the most difficult series that they have. It's a brutal schedule. I mean, absolutely brutal. Oreo Puppy Dog said, "Hey, if you want to be the best, you got to play the best." You're right, and they're going to. They are going to. Eric said, "Why no Texas and Oklahoma on the schedule?" That's a good question. I wondered that as well. You would think that they would try to do what they did in football and at least get one of those two teams on everybody's schedule this year, but that didn't happen. And so I found that interesting as well. And you can make a case. People might say, well, there's less conference series and then there are conference games of football. Well, no, there's not. There's equal or more. So I really don't know why those two teams weren't on their schedule. Rebel G said layoffs suck, and so does Pennsylvania. Blessing in disguise. Get to move back to Tennessee, man. I'm sorry about that, man. I'm glad you're getting to move back, but I hate that that happened. Hopefully, you find something here for sure. For sure. Jonathan said that baseball schedule looks tough, but I think they'll manage it well. Pitching is going to be a premium commodity with this schedule, no doubt about it.
And barring injuries, they've got it. I mean, they raided the portal and brought in some dudes to go with the guys they have coming back. This pitching staff might actually be better than last year.
Carl said it's a tough schedule, but the SEC is top 12 heavy. I mean, like majorly heavy.
Yeah.
Austin said all of that would matter if we weren't flat out better than everyone. The two road matchups with Arkansas and LSU will be tough, but we're better. I agree. We are better. And I think that we'll get to see that on display in the postseason as well. But man, it's a long season. It's a lot of games. And you got to hope the arms hold up. That's the main thing there. Let's see. Jonathan said, "Have they released the softball schedule yet?" That's a great question. I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Let me check real quick. I can tell you real fast. I don't think they have, but I can look. Here we go.
Oh, yeah,
yes, they have. Yes, they sure have.
That was very poorly publicized.
It sure was. You're exactly right. I'll show that here in just a second. Let's see. Carl said, "I think the Vols dominate 2/3 of the way through the season. They unanimously cancel the rest of the season and award us the national championship." Carl's predicting another epidemic to happen, a pandemic. They're just going to cancel it 2/3 or 2/3 of the way through. Eric said, "Y'all think Tennessee can win the national championship 2 straight years?" Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're loaded. They are loaded.
Their biggest issue this year is going to be figuring out how to get everybody reps. They've legitimately got 16 or 17 different guys that could start any day of the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So since we just talked about softball, I'm going to throw it up on the screen real quick. So here's the softball schedule. Start the year against Nebraska down in Florida. They host Bethune-Cookman. Or no, that's at that same Florida thing. They
Yeah,
host, so
it's
that's a
all the
big deal
same
in Florida.
tournament.
Iowa, Notre Dame, Northwestern, all down in Florida. Pittsburgh, all down in Florida. Multiple games on the same days. Let's see. They play at McNeese State. That's an odd thing going to McNeese State. They host. Nope. In a
There's
neutral
why.
site, they play Tulsa.
Well, there's why they're going to Louisiana to play McNeese on their way to this tournament in Texas.
Yeah. Lamar, Nichols. They better dominate that tournament. Then they got another tournament in against Oregon out in California, Oregon State, Rutgers, UCLA, Minnesota.
Is that not the Big Ten tournament, and we just decide to show up to it?
Apparently. Then they host Radford. Is that their first game at home? Hosting Radford? Let's see. Yeah, it sure is. So good night. They play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 games before they have a home game.
February is on the road.
Yeah. 16 games before they finally get a home game. Hosting Delaware State and Indiana State and UT Martin in the Knoxville Invitational or Tennessee Invitational. Let's see. Then SEC play starts. They go to Athens.
But look at this, a midweek game against Duke and then a weekend series against UConn.
Yep. All those are at home, so that's good. Then they go to the Mid-State Classic in Columbia, Tennessee. I wonder who that'll be against. That's interesting. They host Arkansas. Whoa. Man. Talk about a tough matchup here. They have to go to Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is like back to back to back to back to back to back to back national champions. Maybe not quite that many, but I think it's at least 2 in a row. They host Western Carolina, then they host Mississippi State in a weekend series. Look at this. The softball team plays at Oklahoma and at Texas. So the baseball team didn't get either one of them. Softball team got both of them. And just as a refresher, it was Texas Oklahoma in the women's national championship series last year. So they're playing the top 2 teams in the country from last year, both on the road in weekend series this year. Man, that is rough. Then they got Auburn at home, Clemson at home. Then they go to Ole Miss, Texas A&M at home. Dadgum, that is a brutal schedule. They're going to make them earn it. That's for sure. Greg said, what's the softball pitching staff look like this year? Well, so, I mean, we know who the ace will be. I don't know who's going to be number 2 behind her. I'd have to do some research on that. Let's see. Carlin Pickens is going to be the ace for sure.
If I had to guess, so they got a transfer from South Carolina, Sage Marjetko. She'll probably be the number 2. Carlin Pickens will definitely be number 1. They've also got Charlie Orsini returning. She'll probably be number 3. They'll use her some in relief. And then they've got 2 freshmen, one from New York and one from Texas. Now, the girl from Texas was one of the top-rated high school pitchers in America last year, so she could push for time. but my guess is it'll predominantly be Carlin Pickens and Sage Marjetko.
Let's see here. Rebel G said, can't wait to be back home for next football season and just in time for baseball season. That's awesome, man. That's cool. Eric said that Oklahoma and Texas softball is going to be rough for Tennessee. Yeah, it is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Carl said Sankey hates us. I mean, like he said, Marquine de Sankey.
Might be why Coach Weekly scheduled that whole month of February and tough games on the road. She was trying to prepare them for those conference series. That's a rough road schedule.
Absolutely. Kevin said, wait, are y'all trying to tell me that the toughest baseball and softball schedules run through the SEC? Yep. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Absolutely. Jonathan said it's a very tough schedule as well. I have more worries about them than I do the baseball team. I mean, yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, if they win either one of the series at Oklahoma or at Texas, that's a huge deal. I mean, that is brutal. That is really tough. All right. Well, the last thing we're going to talk about tonight, the football schedule for next year was released. And let me tell you something. Feels like 98. Look at that first game, Syracuse. Now this one isn't at Syracuse, like it was in 98. This is just a neutral site game. Yep. So Syracuse, neutral site in Atlanta, starting the year off in August 30th. You know why I like that it's August 30th? You know why I like it? Because that means on July 1st, even though it's really 2 months away, on July 1st, I can tweet out, it's now official. Tennessee plays football next month. Even though it'd be 60 days away, I can say they play football next month. So they start the year off against Syracuse, then they host ETSU. And then the earliest matchup against Georgia, I think they said in the last like 50 something years. Third week of the season, September 13th, hosting Georgia. So they're going to have a big one right out of the gate. I mean, I would assume that would be a game day in Knoxville kind of day, if I had to guess. Go ahead.
One note: ETSU today hired Will Healy as their new head coach. So you had a former East Tennessee guy returning to East Tennessee to coach against the Vols.
Yep, right here from Chattanooga. Played middle school basketball against Will Healy. Let's see here. Jonathan said, I was not expecting the Georgia game week 3. I don't know how I feel about that. It's definitely different.
I kind of like it. We're going to have a veteran quarterback returning. They're going to be breaking in the new one. So if there was ever a time to catch them, that's the time to catch them.
JL said, what's up, bros? Good to see you, JL. Kevin said, get them dogs early. Absolutely. Carl said, Milton to UCF.
Mm-hmm. Mackenzie Milton got hired as offensive coordinator. Quarterbacks coach at UCF.
He played for Scott Frost a year
played
or two.
For Heupel, yeah, he played for Heupel and Frost, and Frost brought him back to be quarterback coach.
Evan said you need to play Georgia as early as possible. Greg's, I agree with that. Greg said spreading out the Georgia, Florida, Bama games. Yeah, that Florida game, that might be the latest we've ever played them other than 2001 when it got rescheduled due to 9/11. Carl said he likes it. Tony said, I like Georgia early and Florida late. Let's see here. So we got, after Georgia, we host UAB, and then we host Mississippi State. We go to Mississippi State. So let's count them up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and then a bye week. Isn't that right? Did I count that right? Syracuse, ETSU, Georgia, UAB, Mississippi State. Yeah. So we got 5 games and then a bye week. So the first weekend of October will be our bye week. Then we host Arkansas, and then we go to Alabama, third Saturday in October. and then we go to Kentucky. So in the month of November, the Vols only have one home game in the month of November, and it's the 11th against Arkansas. I said November, I'm in October. In the month of October, the Vols only have one home game, and that's against Arkansas. In the month of September, they have every weekend as a home game except the last one. So
I'm almost. Where's the Arkansas game?
It's the first Saturday in October is a bye week, and then they play
at home. Okay. Honestly, when I look at this, I think there's a very real possibility we're undefeated at the end of this month.
Of September or October?
October.
Yeah, I mean, you've got two big games. I mean, obviously Arkansas is going to be a big rematch game. I think they're going to put it on Arkansas actually next year.
You got them coming off a bye at home.
But you got, Alabama at home, Alabama at Alabama and Georgia at home. Those two big games. I do like how they have their biggest games seem to be spread out, which is good.
At Kentucky doesn't worry me at all. They're a train wreck. That team's going to be awful next year.
And then we get to host Oklahoma for the first time since 2015. So that's going to be a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun. Many people said that we're at that Oklahoma game in 2015. Russ and I were both there. Many people said that was the loudest they'd ever heard in Neyland Stadium. We know that officially Georgia last year was the loudest. But that'll be a fun game, having Oklahoma and Neyland. Then we host New Mexico State. Now, hang on. I skipped a bye week. After Oklahoma, we got a bye week. I'm not a huge fan of hosting New Mexico State after a bye week, but that's what's going to happen.
Just means the coaches have an extra week to prepare for Florida. They won't prepare the players for them, but they'll prepare.
Yep. And then we've got Florida. And then we end the season back at home against Vanderbilt. So we got Florida, the next to last game of the season at the Swamp. And then we come back home to host Vanderbilt.
I mean, I think the schedule lays out really nicely, and I see at worst, I think the floor is 10-2 and the ceiling is 12-0. I think it lays out really good.
I would agree. Here's the thing, every year, Rustin and I always do a way too early season prediction show, and we always wait till after the season is over to do that. Well, we're going to do that again this year, and this year it's even more important because now with the transfer portal going on, I mean, by the time Tennessee's done in the playoff, this team could look totally different than what it currently looks like. And somebody asked earlier about the wide receivers transferring and stuff. I mean, this could look totally different in 1 month than it does right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to make predictions right now because we have no idea who's even going to be even close to who's going to be on the team yet, which is kind of sad on one side of it, but it's just reality. Jonathan said we made him feel better about the game with Georgia. Eric said that's why I was saying I like Georgia early because they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback. We have Nico who has a year starting. Hey, let me tell you, Georgia may have a little quarterback competition going on at that point.
Yep.
You're going to have Gunnar Stockton and Jaden Rashada battling it out. And Jaden Rashada ain't no slouch. So that's going to be, I mean, they're redshirting him this year, but he'll be a redshirt sophomore next year. He will be a tough person to beat out if you're Gunnar Stockton. Kevin said, I'm thinking Florida may be a tough game next season. Glad we're hosting. Well, we got to go to Florida next year.
Florida.
Yeah, we got to go to, but it's late in the season. So hopefully we can, and essentially we'll have not 2 weeks, but essentially have 2 weeks to get ready for them with a bye week in Mexico State. Evan said Florida in late season could be rough. Could be. Wouldn't be the first time. It'd be the first time since 2001, but it wouldn't be the first time we've played them that late. Greg said Kentucky could be a trap game after Bama. I understand that, but I think Tennessee will still beat them pretty good.
Kentucky's top 3 wide receivers and their top tight end are all in the portal. Their offensive coordinator is rumored to be going back to the NFL, which means they'd be working on their 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years with no skill players returning. I'm not worried about them.
Mr. Osborne said, I like having Georgia early, and I've always wanted to play the Gators in November because the Vols are usually rolling by late in the season traditionally. I mean, that would be 100% on it with 2001 when they went to the Swamp and beat them down there. So, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. Sanders, good to have you. She said, hey, Rustin and Evan, when we get into basketball. So we talked about the basketball team at the beginning of the show. Tremendous game against Miami. Incredible defensive performance. Huge game from Cade Phillips. Igor Milicic continues to prove that he is a mismatch nightmare. But yeah, they're rolling. Number 1 in the country. Hard to beat that, right? Hard to beat it. Jonathan said Arkansas after a bye week makes my batter Vol syndrome flare up a little bit. Yeah, because that's the way it was this year. It was after a bye week, and then we had to go to Arkansas. I think that they are going to try to beat them as badly as humanly possible next year.
And home games in the SEC are just very different than road games.
Greg said 12-0. 12-0. I mean, it's possible. Mr. Osborne said one quick thing on the SEC schedule. Based on how the playoffs are viewing wins, losses, etc., I don't believe there's an appetite for non-conference games. Amen, brother. And that means Vandy is our permanent rival alone. It'll be interesting to see what they do. So there's been like 8 bajillion different models or formats that have been proposed. One of the most common is 8. I think after this, nobody is going to vote for a 9-game conference schedule. None of them will. So it's going to stay at 8. People have said, well, what if you do 3 permanent opponents and 5 rotating games? What if you do 2 permanent opponents and 5 rotating games? So we'll see what ends up happening. We'll know probably in the spring of 2025 after the SEC spring meetings. We'll know what they're going to do. So probably by May or June, we should know what the format will be moving forward for the 2026 season and beyond. Tony said, we don't know how many more will transfer. Who will pick up? A lot of unknowns right now for football. That's exactly right. Rebel G said, what are your thoughts on Bill Belichick becoming North Carolina's head coach?
I hope it works. I'm highly skeptical. I want to see who he hires for his staff. One of his coordinators is going to have to kind of be the guy, because I don't see Bill Belichick doing home visits, sitting in people's living rooms, talking about their 17-year-old and what he means to the North Carolina program.
Exactly.
I don't see Bill Belichick doing a lot of meet and greets with donors to sit and, kiss tail and make sure that they write big checks. Like that ain't Bill Belichick.
Now, Bill's not known to be Mr. Effervescence.
So it cracks me up that they said that Mac Brown was too old at 73 and they hired Bill Belichick at 72. So apparently 72 is the line of demarcation. Once you cross
he's got
that,
1 year.
Way too old. It's going to be interesting.
Some of the best tweets I've seen over the last 24 hours have been Bill Belichick walking into a recruit's home and what he says to him.
Oh, I could easily see him if he had to go talk to a kid that he wasn't sure about. I could easily see him sitting down on a couch and going, "Listen, I personally think you suck. I think you're soft. I don't have any interest in you at all, but my wide receivers coach does. So if you want to come here, that's fine. But I don't care if you do." Like I could easily see that go down.
Yeah, one person said he like walks in a kid's home. He's like, "All right, you little butthole, are you gonna come play or not?"
Mhm.
That is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fascinating because
The
he
one
is not.
everybody the one everybody needs to pay attention to is Rich Rod going back to West Virginia. That was the hire of the cycle. I am begging and pleading that he get the band back together. All of his former assistants are all still coaching. They are a pile of lunatics and they fit West Virginia and Rich Rod so well. And I'm dying for him to bring all of them back. That will be the craziest pirate ship you've ever seen in your life. And they will win at an insane clip because they will recruit all the kids nobody wants and they will convince them to do the right thing, and it will go back to the mid 90s West Virginia that nobody wanted to schedule.
Yeah, everybody's going home. Scott Frost is going home. Rich Rod's going home. Um, Rebel Jew's coming home. Let's see. Carl said, this is a good point, Carl. Carl said anybody late in the season could be rough based on injuries, and that's exactly right. Carl is 100% on the money there. Evan said Kentucky will be bottom 3 in the SEC, if not worse, next year. Agreed. Totally agree. Kevin said, any chance the portal dates might get moved later? I certainly hope so. I mean, based on what we've seen already this year with teams who are in the playoff, they're playing for a national championship. And there are players for Tennessee, Jalen Smith to be exact, who have contributed and played quite a few minutes this year, who are now no longer with the team. And the team is literally playing for a national championship. They are in the running for it. It's unreal. Like, surely they're going to do some adjustments and move it around. I hope. I hope. Okay, Minolaki has the comment of the night, but the Kentucky concession stand is top notch. Just ask Gerald Mincy. That is fantastic. Absolutely. Evan said they will also just schedule FCS schools for out of conference from here on out. No more Power 4 matchups. I mean,
No
right
reason
now, right now, they are required to schedule one Power 4 out of conference game. They're required to. So essentially, you just have to be
Northwestern's
clever.
phone is ringing off the hook.
Amen. Exactly. You just have to be clever in how you do that. Teams like Rustin just said, like Northwestern, teams like NC State,
Boston College, UConn.
Boston College. Yes, absolutely. Those guys, yeah, they're going to be. They might be able to make some money off of this off of this too, because they're going to know. They're going to know. Bobby said Felix Akpar looked rough Tuesday. He did. He did not have a good game. Not going to need him on Saturday. I agree totally. I was thinking about him earlier. Totally agree. Herb said not watched him, but how he match up against the Gators and their big center in basketball.
Their big center is below average and can't move. Not real worried about him.
Has all that stuff with their coach been cleared up, or is that all still going on? Did he get fired already?
It's still in investigation.
That's got to be a distraction. No doubt about it. Let's see. Evan said he's not sure about that Bill Belichick hire. Depends on his staff for sure. I agree. He's definitely got to find some recruiters because he ain't going to be recruiting. Bill Belichick will not beg a kid to come play at his school. That will not happen. I mean, he's just too proud to do that.
I'm going to be fascinated to see if he even goes out recruiting.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Evan said Rich Rod is garbage.
Well, Evan's too young to remember the Rich Rod that has won everywhere he's been but Michigan. And
the Rich Rod that became known as Rich Rod.
he's literally the creator of the spread offense. So
that was the thing with who no one would know who he is by Rich Rod if he hadn't had success. And so he had his day for sure. Has it coming past permanently? I guess we're about to find out.
Well, I mean, he just finished a 10-3 season or 9-3 season at Jack State, and probably going to win a bowl game, be 10-3.
Rebel Jew made a good comparison here. I like this actually. He said Bill Belichick could have the same experience in college football that Nick Saban had in the NFL. That's a good point. Carl said, Nick Saban is a close friend of Bill, so he'll help him navigate. Evan said the same thing. He said Nick Saban talked to North Carolina brass and North Carolina to help navigate it all. Herb said he agrees. Great hire by West Virginia. Kevin said, I can't imagine the conversation in North Carolina that resulted in Mac leaving, but Belichick was right for them. Let's see. Greg said, thoughts on Dan Mullen to UNLV? I'm shocked they got him.
I love the hire. I think, the biggest thing Dan has going for him is he's following Barry Odom. So, Dan does really well with physical, tough kids, and that's all Barry Odom recruits. So he's getting a full roster of kids who have learned what real toughness is from Barry Odom, and he's going to walk into a full cupboard.
Like you said, so the guys entering the portal will not be playing. That is correct. The guys who have entered the portal are no longer with the team. Tony, and this makes this question from Tony even more significant. He said, I think we need at least 2 offensive linemen, 1 really good receiver, 1 running back if Cam Seldon leaves. I mentioned Cam Seldon because Austin Price said today they might go for a running back if he does leave. So that's the most fascinating one to me. I know that we just had another guy, Spillman, wide receiver, enter today in the portal. The portal is officially now open, by the way. So this is odd to me. One of 2 things is happening with Cam. Either he's staying or he has entered the portal silently and he's already talking to teams and they're just asking him, we need you to hang on because we need running back depth to get through the playoff. And that's why it hasn't become public yet, even though there could be teams courting him behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he did enter the portal because he wants to play. Dude wants to play. Remember, Cam Seldon came here as a wide receiver. They put him at running back because they needed him at running back more. And unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out as great as he would have hoped it would. So the thing is, if you enter the portal, you need to do it early because teams are picking up people left and right. There's probably hundreds or thousands of phone calls happening all across the country as we speak right now of coaches calling different players. Well, if you're Cam Seldon and you know you're going to enter the transfer portal, then you would think you'd be on it already. but the coaching staff knows they got to have him to make it through the potential postseason run here. So it's one of two things. Either he is in the portal, but not in the portal. You know what I'm saying? Or he's already decided he's staying. One of the two.
Well, I think you can legitimately say everybody's in the portal, whether they say or not, because there's so much back channeling happening. Everybody has a price, and everybody can be bought. And
Tyler
there,
Barron, Exhibit
and there,
A.
yeah, and there are conversations happening all over the country every day between schools and players that no one's talking about. And they all know it's happening, so nobody turns anybody in because they all know that somebody on their staff's doing it too. So everybody's having conversations and jockeying for their next spot.
Agreed. Jonathan said, "Did Zach Edey go to Florida? I thought he went to the NBA." No, but there's a dude almost as tall as him down there.
But okay, so back to that question. So I assume he's asking about Alex Condon. Alex Condon's their starting center. He's averaging 13 points, 7 rebounds a game. He's pretty good, but he's clunky. He doesn't move well. If they're asking about the 7'9" kid, the 7'9" kid's not playing. He's redshirting. He's not even on the court.
Let's see. Evan said Dan Mullen wanted something low key. Carl said, and a couple other people asked, was Rich Rod on the short list for the Bama job when they hired Saban?
Yeah, he was.
Arp said Bill will bring his son, who has been coaching at University of Washington, I'm sure.
Yep.
Bobby said, should the guys entering the portal be allowed to play? I know Tennessee doesn't allow it, but Ohio State does. Any opinion on that?
Horrible idea. I can't believe Ohio State lets them. How do you, as a coach, how do you walk in a locker room and look at a defensive tackle who's busting his tail every day in practice and is going to be there for spring practice and is going to be there next fall, and look at the kid sitting right next to him who has told you that he's leaving and go, hey, listen, we really need you to play hard today, but we're going to need you at some point too. I don't know how you do that. I mean, in my mind, if you got somebody sitting there who's not fully in with the team, he needs to be sitting in his dorm room watching on television, because he's not going to give you everything he's got. He's going to take plays off. He's going to hurt everybody else. And as a coach, it's going to hurt your credibility with the guys that are staying.
Yeah, that's the main thing there.
I love the fact that Heupel tells him, don't let the door hit you on your way out. Letting them play when they've announced they're leaving, that's garbage.
And as a player, if you're the one that's leaving, I mean, you're potentially hurting your transfer worth if you get injured when you're playing. That would be another reason why they might, take a play off or something. Like you said, fair enough. Tony said Austin Price did not say he was leaving for sure. I think Austin knows something. He just can't say anything.
Always.
Yeah.
Austin's the mouthpiece. He has timelines for every announcement they make. He knows exactly what's going to happen.
Sanders said, how many wins do you guys see the women's basketball team getting before tournament time? So let me put their schedule on the screen.
I've got them going 22-7.
So right now they're 7-0. Herb said, agree. Our slogan says, give your all for Tennessee today. Yep, that's fair. So I'm going to put the Lady Vol schedule up on the screen here. All right, here it is. So they just beat Iowa. They're 7-0. They got North Carolina Central this weekend, 8-0.
Yeah.
Memphis, 9-0. Richmond, 10-0. Tulsa, 11-0. Winthrop, 12-0. And then we get to some difficult games. So Texas A&M, I don't think Texas A&M is better than Iowa.
Mm-mm.
So I'm gonna say 13-0.
Yep.
Oklahoma in Knoxville. I'm gonna say 14-0.
Yeah. I had them splitting these two games.
LSU. I'm gonna say that's a loss. So 13-1.
14-1.
Arkansas. Oh, what? 14-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Arkansas.
It's in
15.
Fayetteville.
I mean,
I
that's
had them.
toss up.
I had them losing this one because it's in Fayetteville.
All right. So 14-2. Mississippi State in Knoxville. 15-2. Vanderbilt, historically good women's basketball team. What do you think? 15-2,
I had them
15-3, or
winning.
16-2?
I had them winning this one and losing the next one.
Okay, so 16-2, 16-3. South Carolina 16-4. Missouri 17-4. UConn 16-5.
17-5.
Yeah, 17-5. LSU again
I had them
17-6.
losing in. Yeah, I had them losing in Baton Rouge.
Auburn 18-6. Ole Miss 19-6.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama. It's a good basketball team.
It's in Knoxville though.
All right, so 20-6.
Mm-hmm.
Florida at Florida.
I had them winning that one too and losing the last one, or losing Kentucky and then beating Georgia. 22
Right, so
and
21 and
22 and
6,
7.
21 and 7, 22 and 7. I mean, I think that's fair. I think it could be as low as 19-9.
It'd be 19 and 10. They've got 29 games.
Okay, so as low as 19-10, as high as 23-7. I mean, anywhere in there.
23-6.
Yeah, 23-6. So anywhere in there, I think is a fair shot. So anywhere between 19 to 23 wins, and if that happens, they're in the tournament. Like the streak continues. If they win 19 games, they're in the tournament.
Because of their strength of schedule, if they win 20 games, they're a 3 seed. I mean, they're going to be in the top 12 if they win 20 games with this difficulty of schedule.
I mean, they play LSU twice. They play South Carolina and UConn. They got a tough road ahead of them.
Texas is very good. Kentucky's legit.
Yep.
That Arkansas team is good. They've already played Iowa. This is a tough schedule. That Oklahoma team is very good. Even that Richmond team, they're 8-1 right now. Like that's not going to be a pushover game.
So next game is this Saturday. Both men and women play on Saturday.
This Saturday will be a pushover. North Carolina Central is 0-11. We might score 180 points.
Sanders said, "I feel we sneak up and win some of those games." They very well could. Absolutely. I mean, they could split with LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it could be as low as like 19-10. It could be as high as 23-6. Absolutely. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We're glad everybody was able to join us tonight. Just so everybody knows, we will not be live this Sunday. It is my wife and I's 17th wedding anniversary, so we'll be celebrating at Tony's Pasta. Probably is where we're going to eat, I think, that night.
Are you saying that so people will show up?
Nah, just some people. We've talked about Tony's in the past, and so like Matt if Matt's on here tonight, he'll know.
Trying to get a sponsorship.
Hey, there we go. Tony's Pasta, not a sponsor, but we are willing to talk for sure. Kevin said, "Happy anniversary! Appreciate you, buddy." Sanders said, "I honestly feel like we beat Oklahoma and UConn. I mean, they could. I mean, who knows? If they get hot and start hitting shots, then they can beat anybody. Because I mean, they take 80 shots a game, from three. So if they hit 30 of them, that's 90 points right there. So I mean, they can beat anybody if they get hot from three." Eric said, "You don't think Lady Vols has a chance against South Carolina no matter what?" No, I definitely think they have a chance.
I think they have
They
a
can't
chance.
get cold though.
I think they have a chance. I think next year's roster can absolutely beat them, because next year we'll be replacing our slowest athletes with a crop of crazy athletic guards. So my hesitation this year is I just don't think we're as fast as they are. And I think we're going to have a really hard time guarding them with the style of play that we play.
Rhonda said, "Happy anniversary." Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate that. Mina Laggy said, "Happy wedding doings." Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jonathan, appreciate it, buddy. Herb, thank you, man. Herb said, "Who is the surprise for baseball this year? Any incoming freshmen?"
The whole class. I don't know how to narrow that down. I mean,
Well,
this recruiting class has been blowing people away their entire time on campus.
I think Abernathy is going to be the main dude.
Yeah, I mean, the Abernathy kid is the second coming of what's his name? 4-year starter in center field at Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. The fastest dude that stole the base.
Yeah.
Every time he got on base, he was at second immediately.
Yeah, Abernathy, huh?
It started with a B. His last name started with a B.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts.
One of his name, first or last, started with a B.
It did, and that's gonna drive me crazy.
No.
Abernathy is that kid. Bradfield.
Bradfield. I knew it started with a B. Yeah, thank you, Herb.
Abernathy is that kid all over again. He could easily 4 years from now he could be a 4-year starter in center field that everybody's talking about. Enrique Bradfield, and he and Bradfield were identical players.
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison.
He flies, and he actually probably has a little more power than Bradfield. Enrique, early in his career, was a slasher and built up power over time. Abernathy can hit for power right now as well as be a slasher and speed. That kid is a freak athlete, but he's not the only one. There's about 6 or 7 kids in this freshman class. And then you've also got Stone Lawless, who's a redshirt freshman, who was, the number 1 high school catcher in America 2 years ago, who redshirted. So they got dudes. They're gonna have a hard time figuring out what the best 9 is. And you may see, like I said earlier, you may see as many as 16 to 17 guys rotating in the starting lineup.
Yep. Abernathy was hitting leadoff in fall ball. And dude was turning heads left and right. So I think he's the guy that everybody looks at. I think the Bradfield analogy is perfect. That's a fantastic analogy. Let's see here. Mr. Osborne, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. He said, "Happy anniversary to you and your wife, Evan. Also, thanks, Vol Bros, for another great show. We appreciate that. Thank you." Evan said, "Happy anniversary, Evan and wife." Since we're talking about her so much, if anybody is going on vacation, she is gingermmt.com, Marvelous Mouse Travels. She does Disney destinations, Universal Parks and Resorts, Sandals and Beaches, and Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. So all free. Her help is totally free, and that's actually for real. It really is free. If you'd like to know why, I can explain it. But
so you don't plug that, but I will, because that blows my mind. For those of you who don't know, every vacation builds in a fee for travel agents that they don't tell you about. And if you don't use a travel agent, they just keep it.
Yep.
So
exactly right.
Which is highway robbery, and everybody does it apparently. Which is why travel agents are actually free, because technically the destination pays them. And if you don't use one, they just pocket that money. So you're crazy not to use one, because you're getting charged for it, whether you realize it or not.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, if if you just go online and book it yourself, then you're paying for a travel agent and not getting to use the help of one. Because they literally will build it into the commission for the travel agent. They build into the price that you pay them, and so um, after you travel, they give that commission to the travel agent that they charged you anyway. Uh, and if you don't use a travel agent, they just, like Rustin said, they just pocket the money. Um, so, with that being said, if a travel agent is also charging you money, they are double dipping.
Yeah, those are the
uh,
people you should question.
exactly. Yes. So that's why you use Ginger, because she doesn't do that. She just gets the commission from the destination, and that's it. So her help is totally free. She's been on hold for clients on with different vendors for hours at a time. Greg said, "I see a Volbros cruise in the future." There you go.
Two things. Number one, my wife gets insanely seasick and will never get on a boat. Number two, I've seen too many videos. I ain't going on a Carnival cruise and sinking in the middle of the ocean
The
as the
balloons.
balloons go up.
That was great. That was really good. Mississippi Vol said, "I agree about Jay Abernathy. I look for him to have a very impactful spring and summer. Congrats on the anniversary. Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. I'm a fortunate guy." Sanders said, "I feel like if we don't turn over the ball and keep South Carolina in half court offensive sets, we beat them because they struggle in their half court offense." I mean,
The problem is, and that's what I was hinting at earlier, they've got to stop, or they've got to resolve their on-ball pressure issues. The Lady Vols have not been doing a good job at all stopping the ball in transition. And as fast as South Carolina is, if we don't begin stopping the ball in transition, we ain't gonna worry about their half court offense because they're never gonna be in it. We've
I,
got to stop the ball.
I think in order for Tennessee to beat South Carolina, they have to hope that South Carolina does what Iowa did as far as like turning the ball over when they were 3/4 court trapping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of the passes I was making was blowing my mind. Like, I'm like, you're a Division I basketball player. What are you doing? Like, I mean, why are you throwing that pass? Um, but I mean, there was like a series in the third quarter there where Tennessee got like three
Yeah.
or four steals off turnovers in less than 4 minutes. I mean, it was just like every possession.
My favorite one was Iowa, their biggest girl, grabbed a rebound and turned to throw an outlet pass and threw a baseball pass in the first row of the bleachers and almost
Yeah.
hit the coach in the head.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a little bit off target.
Yeah. Just a bit outside. Bama dude said, "Bama ain't letting Tennessee do anything this year. Trust." I don't know what sport he's talking about. Maybe all of them. I don't know. Uh, I guess we'll find out, won't we? We will find out. Mina Lackey, appreciate you so much for joining us. Sam said, "Very happy to see Tennessee get more speed on the base pass." Yeah, for sure.
He's
Um,
he's not the only one. There's several. They've got multiple dudes that can fly. They are going to steal a lot of bases this year.
well, you remember how Bradfield, you're talking about him. Remember how he would get on first, and I mean, everybody in the stadium knew.
Mhm.
Everybody watching at home knew
Yeah.
he's going. Like,
And his
and
senior
you couldn't
year,
stop it. Like, that's
And
the
his senior
problem.
year wasn't just stealing second; he'd steal second and third on 2 pitches, and everybody knew he
Yep.
was going, and they still couldn't throw him out.
Yep. That's the kind of speed Abernathy has. He will be that guy that as soon as he gets on base, you're like, all right, well, yeah. I mean, he hit a single, but effectually it's a double because he's going to be standing on second less than 2 pitches later. So
Mhm.
that's a nice threat to have for sure. Let's see here. Tony said, "Happy anniversary working on number 41." Hey, that's awesome, Tony. Congratulations, buddy.
And like I said, it's not just slapping and running. He's got more power than Enrique Bradfield had. That dude's gonna hit some home runs.
Absolutely. Like he said, if I ever get to go on a trip, I'll be calling. Hey, I appreciate that very much. GingerMMT.com. That's where you can find her for sure. Um, Herb said that's crazy that they build it in and don't tell you about it. That's exactly right. Yeah. So like every Disney, Universal, Royal Caribbean, Sandals, beaches, everybody,
Any
they
resort
build
trip.
in. Yeah, absolutely. They all build in the price of a travel agent, the commission into their pricing. So legit, if you go online and just book it yourself, you're paying for a travel agent. You're not even get to use one. So might as well use what you're paying for. Let's see. Big Orange said Vols 2025 baseball schedule officially dropped today. Can't wait to see. That's right. We went through that earlier in the show. I invite you to go back and watch that here in just a minute because we're about to sign off. Can't wait to see our defending national champion Tennessee Vols on diamond again. Amen, brother. Absolutely. Sanders said the Lady Vols did better against Iowa. That's absolutely. They played phenomenal against them. Let's see. Sam said, I want to see our base runners affect the pitchers. Well, Abernathy will. He will, for sure. Let's see. Big Orange, happy anniversary, Evan. Go Vols, bro. Hey, appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. Herb said, what does the pitching staff look like?
So I was just going through the roster.
AJ will be the ace for sure.
Yeah, not including the freshmen, which there are probably 3 or 4 freshmen who are going to get significant innings. We have 9 returning guys who will all end up getting drafted.
You think Phillips is the closer this year?
No, I think that'll be Tanner Franklin. I think Marcus Phillips has a shot to be one of the 3 starters. If he doesn't win one of those 3 starting jobs, I think they'll use him as a long reliever. Similar to what they were going to do with AJ Russell and Nate Snead. I could see it being Nate Snead and Marcus Phillips, splitting a Friday game, something like that. But no, I think Tanner Franklin has been told that the closer role is his.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch them. No doubt about it. They're going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for AJ to have a full season healthy. And I think he understands the necessity he's got in front of him to show to pro scouts that he's healed and that he can throw it just every bit as good as he could before. I think he understands how imperative it is this season for him to throw well.
I think it'll be AJ on Friday, Liam Doyle on Saturday. So you go right, then left, then Nate Snead on Sunday. So you go right, left, right, power, finesse, power, just to keep them off balance all weekend.
Doyle's a transfer from Ole Miss, right?
Yep.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep. They're ace.
Rob said, please hit the like button. Think that's a great idea. Hit subscribe as well. That'd be awesome. Big Orange said, let's go baseballs. We're running back to back. I agree. I mean, I think they will. Absolutely. Tennessee next baseball dynasty for sure. I mean, they're pretty close to it right now. Sanders said, happy anniversary, Evan. Enjoy night. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Sanders. Thank you. Hope everybody has a great evening. This has been a lot of fun. So just as a reminder, we won't be live on Sunday, but we will be live next Thursday. That'd be December 19th, previewing the Ohio State Tennessee game. And we have something a little special happening that night too. So you don't want to miss that. I think it'll be interesting where we are. I'll put it that way. There's my hint. So hope everybody joins us next Thursday. Greg said, I'm as happy about the Vols as Gerald Mincy putting mustard and relish on a hot dog at the Kentucky concession stand. It's a good time to be a Vols fan. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mino, like you said, smash that like button like you're hitting dingers. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead of you. And we look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 9:00 as we preview Tennessee and Ohio State. Just a huge game in Tennessee football history. So we hope it's a Vols victory for sure. Have a great evening, everybody. Go Vols.